What's up, YouTube? Hefe coming to you, Captain Awesome's Fish Room. It's Q&A Friday, guys. Don't know what episode it is, just like last week, but it's gonna be awesome. As my bulldog is coming in the room, wants to join us. Say hi, Mace. Wooga wooga. But anyways, guys, before we get started, I wanted to show y'all a couple things. You're looking at Micro Machine, looking awesome, by the way. Look at those freckles, guys. Look at the orange gill plates. Look at the red eyes. Look at the teeth. Oh my God. But note the size on this guy, and y'all have seen videos with him and watched him grow. What I want to show you now is my Gorillas Blue Torque. He's the biggest one in here. And you can see that he is bigger than Micro Machine. And when I got these guys, Micro Machine, was a solid fish, and these guys were, around an inch or so. So you can see the quickness in which these guys grow, and just to see something like that with the same species of fish, a different collecting point and color gene. It's really awesome to see that stuff in the hobby. And then the second thing I wanted to show y'all, and this is for Skip over at Real Hard Cichlids Aquatic Kennels. I told you I was going to print it out, bro, and I'm looking for a frame right now. Guys, he posted on a video that I made for Nathan Miller's contest. And just saying that, here, I'll read it to you. What they doing, Jeff? And for the record, Big Rig is one of my favorite dove-eye cichlids on YouTube. After you put all the hard work in to bring him out of his shell, I think I'll take him back now, if you don't mind. No, I'm just kidding. In quotations, you're doing a great job, Jeff, with all your fish. Keep up the good work. RHC for life. Guys, that was just awesome to read. Coming from a guy that actually breeds these dove-eyes right here, saying that, it's one of his favorites on YouTube. It really meant a lot. Real big confidence booster for me. I like to think that I take care of my fish, and for somebody that high up in the community to say something like that is just, it's breathtaking, to be honest with you. And he's definitely one of my favorite fish in the fish room. Definitely real aggressive. But you can see his teeth there, just looking awesome. But yeah, so let's get on with Q&A Friday, guys. Got a lot of stuff to cover. FishKid234 asked, what fish would you most like to breed and keep? How big of a tank would you need? There's actually two fish on my all-time probably never going to have wish list. The first one is a gulper catfish. Scientific name for them, guys, is Asterophysis batrachus. That's Asterophys and then Batrachus. These fish are awesome. They're really rare in the hobby, and I don't know what kind of setup you would need to actually breed them. I don't even think they've been bred in captivity yet. That's why I'd so like to do it. But I would definitely keep them, I'd say probably in a 200-gallon tank. And the second fish is an Arapaima, scientific name Arapaima gigas. These fish get really large, guys, and if I ever get to the place in this hobby where I can have a 20 to 50,000 gallon tank, I'll definitely have an Arapaima, and it'll be one of few fish in that tank, if not the only fish in that tank. And I definitely love to try to breed them. So that answers that. I'd probably surprise some of y'all. I'm a huge cichlid fan, but I also love catfish, and I love Arapaimas. Beautiful, beautiful, monstrous fish. Second question comes from my boy Pro M Tracer. Just kind of asking like how I trim my plants, any special techniques I have, and how to root the clippings and stuff like that. I'm just going to give you a basic rundown of the stuff that I use. I did a trimming yesterday, which sucks, but I'll kind of give you a visual. You've probably never seen my little stack up here, but my camera angle is always like this, but if you go up a little bit, right beside my planted tank, you'll see all my tools I use for plants. I have a smaller pin set that has a, you know, a narrower grasper there. That's for my more, you know, small plants like Glosso, Pearlweed, HC, Baby Tears, you know, stuff like that. And then I have these tweezers, which are bigger. These are for most of your other plants, swords, crypts, stuff like that. Stuff that you can plant by hand, but if you have a really good aquascape, you want to kind of be surgical with it. Then I have my big deep water trimming scissors. I'll show you what I use these for real quick. Stuff like this micro sword here. I like to use these types of scissors to kind of go at an angle like this, and then kind of like a haircut, you know, trim it off like that. And then I like to go around all the sides and do a straight cut, you know, to make it kind of a box. I found that the light penetration on plants like this, when you cut them like that, it actually gets through better because it is a really thick plant. So by cutting it in an angle all the way across like that, kind of like a haircut, to get that staggered effect, you get more light penetration, so I like doing it that way. I'll also use these for when I need to get in between plants, like if I wanted to trim one stem of that Rotala and it was in the middle, I would use these to kind of get real surgical with it. Now, let's see here. The next pair of scissors that I have are these rounded tip curves. Like this, you can see how the blade kind of curves, and they're a blunt tip. I like to use these with, you know, the more delicate stem plants like this Cardinalis. I'll use these on the Kabamba and the Wisteria, you know, stuff like that. And I like using these because they're up higher, so I can, you know, do one trimming or a large trimming all at once. And I use the curved guys because with a straight edge, if these scissors were all the way straight, and that little curve does make a difference, because you see how much I curved them up, but the blade is flat right there. But if I go like this and you try to trim, you run the risk of grabbing plants back here when you close them and pulling them up and breaking them, and, you know, just shredding leaves and stuff like that. So I like having the curve in the shears there. And I'll use those for your smaller bushy plants like crypts and you know, stuff like that. Next pair, same principle, except I have a sharper and a blunt end. I like using these for the, you know, like dwarf hairgrass when I'm doing a little trim. I'll use it for these chain swords. I'll use it for stargrass, you know, bushy kabamba, you know, maybe a little bit on the pearlweed sometimes to get the really high ones. And you can see that they're kind of curved there. And you can get really surgical and in between things because it has a pokey side and a blunt side, so you can, you know, get the pokey side in where you want and then just clip. And then, let's see, next pair. Same principle, except these are straight edge, and, you know, they have the blunt. I like using these for, you know, when I want to do, you know, like the same thing I do with the long ones, except, you know, I got to go in between something more, and it has a smaller frame. And then for the really small plants, like say your HC, your pearlweed, dwarf hairgrass, baby tears, glosso, stuff like that, I like to use nose hair trimmers, guys. You can be really precise and surgical with these. You can really get in there and, you know, just kind of trim. Now, as far as the way that I trim, I look at the bunch of plants that I have, how they're growing, you know, kind of how they're pointing up towards the light there. You can see with the indica. Now, when I trim that, what I'm going to do is I'll actually go in sections and trim one section, and then I'll trim the other section, and then I'll make them all the same height, but then I'll go back in there and kind of stagger it so that light penetration gets in there better. That's one good tip for trimming plants. And another one, when you're trimming stuff like wisteria, what I like to do is to make sure that you get all the dead leaves off, like that one right there, how it has that ugliness to it. I like trimming stuff like that off because then the plant isn't trying to, feed that leaf and stuff like that. It's focusing on the more healthier parts of the plants. And that's pretty much it. I mean, all the basics about trimming and stuff like that. Now, as far as replanting your trimmings, what I like to do, if it has a root structure on it like that, and they're really long, I'll trim the roots down to where they're about anywhere from, depending on the plant, anywhere from 1/4 to 1 inch. And I'll trim them down, and then I'll put them in the gravel. That way, all the roots, or all the old parts of the roots, you don't need those anymore because you're going to get new growth. It's actually going to grow different, especially when it's growing in the water like that, and then you plug it down inside the substrate that you're using. And then I'll also keep my little dosing syringe there. You always want to keep your dosing syringe away from any other syringe that you use. That way, you're not contaminating anything. It's only used for one thing, and they're cheap, so it's really easy to do that, guys. So you might as well pick up, your own syringe for your dosing, unless you have an auto dose. So that takes care of that. Next question comes from God of Fish Tanks. Asks, can you feed fish expired food? LOL. It is kind of a funny question until you get scientific about it. I'd say no, you cannot feed fish. Well, I mean, you can, but I wouldn't feed fish expired food. When food expires, guys, it probably has about a 2-month shelf life after the expiration date until it's really no good anymore. And the reason you don't want to do that is due to oxygenation. Nutrients are lost, from opening and closing, sticking wet hands in there, stuff like that. And the really biggest part about expired food is basically the viscosity of it. I know viscosity is more for liquid, but you can use the same principle. It's a really, food can be a really dense product, and then once you start losing the nutrients in it due to oxygenation, it getting wet and stuff like that, it really starts to break down and get more brittle, and it actually turns into a non-nutritious food. I mean, you're losing vitamins, minerals, you can lose a little bit of protein, and especially in a fish room, guys. I mean, in fish rooms, depending on what climate you're in, most fish rooms are going to be around anywhere from 30 to 60% humidity. And air itself, the air we breathe, is 78% nitrogen and 21% oxygen, okay? If you put that inside the, excuse me, if you put that inside, I forget what it's called, I think empirical fit or something like that, then you actually, and if you have it around 72 to 85 degrees inside your fish room, that's 4% water vapor inside your fish room. So you have about 4% water. That's how you get condensation on your windowsills and stuff like that. So you really want to be sure to run your humidifier, not just for the simple fact to keep your food in a better state, but because that can actually grow mold and stuff. And that's another thing too. Food getting wet can actually grow mold on it once it gets older and older and stuff like that. So you really don't want to feed your fish expired food. Your saturated vapor density, that's basically where the density of something breaks down because of water vapor or humidity and stuff like that. So you really, it's not beneficial to your fish, and it's not really saving you money in the long run either, because you may run into health problems with your fish too. So I'd say no. Definitely throw it away after 2 months. I throw expired food away as soon as it expires. So I mean, I wouldn't want to eat expired food, so I'm not going to feed it to my fish. Last question comes from Karin1467. How good are fish's memory, or does it vary with species? It does vary with species. You know, that myth about goldfish only having a 3-second memory is completely wrong and has been debunked. Goldfish actually have a very good memory. They can remember things. You know, there's research saying different time periods, but they can actually remember things for up to 4 to 5 months, guys. There's actually a study that was done with goldfish and feeding, and what happened is they set up a trigger to where the goldfish could punch the trigger and food would drop in the water. Then once they got used to doing that, they actually set the trigger up to where the goldfish could only press it for an hour a day to get food. And it was noted that the goldfish would actually wait around that trigger when it started to get about that time of the day where they had an hour to get the food off of it. So if that shows you anything, I mean, and it's also been researched that, you know, small fish like tetras, guppies, minnows, and stuff like that actually have the intelligence of mice and rats, guys. And when you get into these bigger fish like cichlids, your bigger, I mean, catfish, all those bigger fish, they actually have the intelligence of dogs and cats, guys. These fish are super intelligent. It's well published. You can type in the intelligence of fish on Google or whatever your search engine is, and you can definitely look in to research people have done with these fish. I mean, when you're looking at something with a 3-second memory, you're looking at flies, guys. I mean, flies have a really short memory. That's why they continually bump into the same part of the window for an extended amount of time, is because they forget that they just did that. With fish, they learn that when they see a net coming to hide, they learn that when they see you coming, food is coming. They learn that, you know, they even recognize certain people. When my son comes in here, Big Rig just goes ape crazy because he loves my son. He loves seeing him, loves playing with him. But when my wife comes in here, he'll go back down there behind his rock because he doesn't want anything to do with her. When I come in here, he stares at me constantly. So fish do, I mean, they're very intelligent. They have great memories. You know, I mean, it's researched and documented, guys. It's definitely interesting to go out and research stuff like that, so definitely go check it out. And that sums up Q&A Friday. I hope y'all learned something. Hope it was enjoyable to watch. As always, guys, rate, comment, subscribe. Have an awesome Friday. I have a blast making these videos, so make sure you send me more questions, guys. If you need it answered right away and you still want it on Q&A Friday, just let me know. I'll answer it. And I'll still include it inside the video. So with that said, guys, this is what I'm doing. This is what I've done. Stay true to the hobby and happy fish keeping. We'll see y'all next time. Adios, folks.